Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Power to Prosper. I am your host, Natasha Oquindo. If you haven't already subscribed to my page, go ahead and download on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, and all of the music streams, right? Even on YouTube, subscribe to my YouTube page. That way you can see it visibly. But this is the podcast that you want to have um, in your list, in your favorites, right? I'm saying that because I'm sharing things that are going to prosper you, whether that's spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, uh, relationally, socially, in your business, in your ministry, in your job, whatever, in your life, period. So you definitely want to have this one in your rotation. Today, I want to share some things, right? I actually want to share something real specific. I want to talk about one of the attributes, one of the important attributes that I really don't hear much about, but that I know was a powerful ingredient that caused me to experience promotion, right? And we know that the scripture says that promotion don't come from the east nor the west, but it comes from the Lord, right? It doesn't come from any direction but from the Lord. And what I have learned throughout the years is that this particular attribute has been a powerful ingredient um, that has caused the Lord to look upon me and promote me, right? And when the Lord promotes you, I want you to get this. When the Lord looks at you and he decides to promote you, it doesn't matter what people may think, right? It doesn't matter what people, they don't have to like you or anything, but he will cause promotion to come to your life. He will reach over individuals to get you to the right individual that may open the door or grant you the opportunity or just promote you in such a way that you look glorious. And that's just a whole nother story. But I want to talk about this attribute. So if you know somebody that needs to hear this and they're looking to be promoted or believe they're on the verge or desiring to be promoted by the Lord, then you want to share this one. So that attribute that I'm speaking on that I have been faithful to exemplify is the power of integrity. The power of integrity. Being a person of integrity, being a person who is honest, who is trustworthy, right? Being a person that when people look at you, you exemplify somebody that upholds their word, that keeps their word, right? And so I'm saying that to say this because we're in a time where integrity kind of gets lost in translation, but it's not lost in translation when it comes to God. And you definitely want your promotion to come to your life because God have found you faithful. He found you faithful in being integral. Reason I say that because that integrity is necessary, whether it's in business, whether it's in ministry, and just having a good character, period. Integrity has to do with your moral standards. It has to do with your ethics and how you carry yourself, right? And so I say that to say this, and I'm going to give you some real life examples. But integrity is very important. You don't want to lose that. And a lot of times when we're going through this process called life or through this process called faith, if you pay attention, pay close attention, our integrity is being constantly tested, is being constantly tried, right? And so I'm a stickler for that. If I say that I'm going to do something, I am really going to put in the effort and the work to make sure that I fulfill that. I think about that and it reminds me of Christ, that he came not to take away the Old Testament or the word, but he came to what? fulfill it. So he's a stickler on keeping his word. You think about it. He said, heaven and earth shall pass away, but his word shall remain. And so I look at that, and I saw that attribute early on in Christ in my early learning. And I was definitely a person. I don't like a lying spirit. And I'm gonna just be real. Lying is just not something that I just take lightly or want to engage in, right? I don't even want to really connect myself with people that practice and live a lifestyle of just lying. And I call it lie like a rug, and volunteering lies, just lying for no reason. Nothing can be going on, and you got some people that will just tell lies. And I mean, live a lifestyle of just telling lies, right? But I said that to say this. When it comes to promotion, like if you're wanting to be promoted in your business, you're wanting to be promoted in ministry concerns, or wanting to be promoted on your job, in your position, in leadership, whatever it is, you have to pay attention to this attribute, which is your integrity. If you say that you're going to do something, make sure that you do everything you can to fulfill that promise. If not, then make sure that you're able to, at an opportune time, at the best time, communicate that you're not able to keep your word. I'm big on that. And if you make a mistake, be mature enough to go back and say, I'm so sorry. I know I was supposed to keep this obligation. But this came up, something came up, and it really threw me off track. Make sure that you apologize. And I say this, try to make sure that you don't make a habit of having to apologize for not keeping your word, right? For not upholding your end or your promise. The Bible, there's a scripture that says this. I think it reads, it's better to say no. And I'm paraphrasing, it's better to say no to a thing and then turn around and do it, rather than to say yes to a thing and then not turn around and not do it. And so I'm saying that to say, make sure that you are paying attention to that, because your integrity will be tested. I can remember, and let me give you some different examples of what I've experienced. Right. And these are just experiences that made me further take it more serious. I remember I was throwing a prayer crusade in a specific city. I won't even say the city because I've thrown prayer crusades in a few cities, citywide prayer crusades. And I had invited a group to come in and sing and do worship at this particular one. And so I paid attention, the prayer crusade started and the group, they didn't show up. And so we kept, the schedule of going on with the other people that did show up. So finally, the woman who I had talked to, who was going to come, they actually showed up. It was her and the group. And so she was standing out in the crowd or whatever, and just kind of, spectating and looking around and checking things out. And so I motioned, because I was still going to allow them to perform, because that's just my heart. I wouldn't want to show up to something and then not be able to perform, even though it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? But I'm saying that to say this, even though the individuals were late, I was still extending the opportunity for them to be used. And so she motioned at me and she was like, no, we're good. And I was like, okay. So I just thought that was the craziest thing. No apology for being late or anything. And now this was not an individual that was supposed to be, just some bootleg individual. They had a little bit of status. So I thought that was just the craziest thing. And I'm like, Lord, okay, I know if I think this is just the craziest thing, please, let me be mindful of my actions, my character, my integrity, my honesty, keeping my word, and then being mature enough to apologize and do the things that I need to do to rectify a mistake that I make, right? And that's just one example, but I couldn't think for the life of me. I'm like, okay. And this began to be a repetitious thing with not only that encounter, but various encounters with people, right? Saying and coming across real convincing and saying that they're about this and they serious about whatever it is that they're doing, whether it is an assignment that they're doing that they want you to be a part of or whatever. And what I'm saying is this: when you don't have integrity, then it doesn't matter if you saying you doing it for the Lord, or you got this business idea, you got this ministry idea, or this event that you're trying to put together, or whatever it is that you're trying to do. People they will eventually not take you serious. Literally, you start to build this reputation of not keeping your word, and people not trusting or believing in what it is you're about or what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And so I learned this early on. And the reason I say that you're tested in this is because there will come situations in this process where you may have integrity intact. And I'll use it from the standpoint of where I sit, where my integrity was intact and somebody else's was not, right? And it'll keep happening so that you can be steadfast and be grounded to decide that I'm going to be integral. God allows this now. I want you to hear me good. I want you to hear me well. To see if you're going to sway into operating like everybody else, or are you going to stay grounded? Because remember what I said, ultimately, it is the Lord who is going to promote you. Ultimately, your promotion, you want it to come from the Lord. And so and it was like this season of meeting and encountering, even, and mainly I'm talking about people who are people of faith, people who are in the church and outside of it, of course. But to me, in my brain, I'm expecting somewhat outside of the church to not be as integral. That's just the honest to God truth. But what I have experienced is it doesn't matter. Integrity is in the person that beholds integrity, that respects integrity, that desires to be integral, that wants to have that reputation of being a person whose word is trustworthy. And they're actually putting in the work to do so. But many times these tests came, and I'm telling you how I got to the place of being promoted regardless, being promoted by God, regardless of what anybody thinks you deserve or anybody feels like you deserve. The thing is, can God trust you to be integral with an assignment? Can he trust you to be integral with an event? Can he trust you to be integral with anything that he gives you to do or anything that you say out of your mouth, right? Because when you're integral with your words, meaning you're going to keep your words, you're going to stand on your words, you're going to keep your words, then he knows that you'll be integral with other things outside of that and even greater things, right? And so I'm saying that to say, maybe you're experiencing this thing where I feel like I'm right at promotion, but it seems like it doesn't happen for me. Then you may want to check your integrity. You may want to, and even if you find that when you're thinking about your integrity and thinking back and kind of brainstorming back at different situations, circumstances, people, assignments, and different things, You might find yourself going back and trying to apologize for some things that you may not have been so integral in, right? Of course, you're going to apologize to God. But what makes us even more mature is when we can go back and handle um, situations and circumstances in a healthy manner in this natural realm with people, with individuals, with situations, with circumstances, right? And so I'm saying that to say, I believe that as we're in this new year, that if you take your integrity serious and really start exercising that thing, if you put something out there, if you say that you're going to do something, and I'm talking about not even on a public level, but more so on individual levels and personal levels. If you say that you're going to do something, then keep your word. Even if it's something concerning yourself, it may be a promise you made to yourself. Keep your promise, keep your word. Start building your integrity there, because it starts somewhere, and the best place to start is with yourself, right? And so start being integral to the words that you put out there concerning the things that you say, the things that you promise yourself. Start being integral with those things. And then start with your immediate circle, the things that you may say, whether it's to a spouse or to your children or, a family member, friend, or whatever, co-worker. Start there. Keeping your word. Showing God that you are ready for promotion, that you are a prime candidate that can be entrusted with promotion. Because whether we realize it or not, when it comes to dealing with promotion, all that is God expanding us to be more interactive with people, right? Expanding us to be on greater levels of operation among people. And so people have to know that when we open our mouths or when we do something, that it is trustworthy, that it is something that is solid, that, okay, that person is reliable, that person, right? If they say they're going to do something, then they're going to do it. And if they don't do it, if it doesn't come to pass, then you just feel like something just drastic must have happened, because I know that that person is solid. I know that they're trustworthy. I know that they have integrity. I know that they are reliable. I know this individual, right? And so I say that to say this: stand out in this season, because I came to realize that I stand out. And one thing I know, that when you start to become known or have this reputation of keeping your word and being integral, then people who will waste your time, they will resist you. They will stay their distance from you, right? People who squander their time and haven't gotten to the place of maturity when it comes to being integral and keeping their word and doing the things that they say that they will do and keeping their promises and actually being action takers and making movement. And listen, I'm not talking about individuals that appear like they're doing that, right? Because many of us, we can appear like we're making moves, right? But I'm talking about when you have the fruit of integrity, when that manifestation, when you're operating and maneuvering and navigating in this particular attribute, this particular fruit, it has a way of warding off people, opportunities and situations that will squander your time. It's almost like those who are not integral kind of get intimidated per se, because they look at you and they know this person is going to get it done. So they really, it's not that they really want to reject you, but most times, and I'll say this, they'll resist you or back away from you because of the intimidation about a thing. But more so, it is a challenge for them to get where they need to be. And so sometimes they won't even try to come around until they start being integral and getting where they need to be and actually taking action on their words and on the different things that are on their plate, right? And so I'm saying that to say, when you build integrity, you go through that season where a lot of different instances may happen where you've been integral and other people didn't handle you with integrity, but only to get you to the place. Now you're building an atmosphere around yourself. You're building a realm for yourself to where those who are integral, once you go through that process, those who are integral will begin to connect and will begin to find you, right? Because all of this is spiritual, right? You build this spirit of having integrity. And then after you going through the process of holding that integrity, no matter what, then individuals will begin to be drawn to you of integrity. And then you will really be able to accomplish some things. You will really be able to be, to get the promotion, to be promoted by God and really make an impact in the lives of other people. Because that's what it's all about. Whose life can you impact? In what way? It doesn't have to be a crowd of people. It can be one person whose life that you are called to impact. And as long as you're integral, you'll be promoted to do so, right? And so that's just a secret that I wanted to share about one of the attributes that I've always taken really, really serious, right? And I believe this is the attribute or the fruit, should I say, that is going to make you stand out in your winning season. This is your winning season. This is your time to succeed and go to the next level. And so I would say focus on your integrity and watch your life be promoted. This was Natasha Oquendo, and this was Power to Prosper. Do me a favor, click the link in my description, in my bio. I have a free gift for you, and I want you to go and pick up that free gift. Until next time, be blessed.